What's going on YouTube? So as you know, SUVs are all the rage these days, which is why it is a big deal that Genesis has finally added their first ever one, this all new GV80. And not only is it their first crossover, but it also has all the latest design and technology that sets the stage for all the future Genesis products to come. But without further ado, let's go ahead and check it out and see if this is the best new luxury SUV money can buy. So guys, check out this exterior design. It is extremely eye-catching from the moment you walk up to it, because Genesis has really struck a great balance with this GV80, being both classy but also a little bit flashy as well. And that starts up here in the front with the new Genesis signature crest grille. You'll see this on all of the models coming up, and as you can see, it is finished in a chrome finish, which gives you that nice pop. A lot of people say this reminds them of a Bentley Bentayga, and I have to say, in person, I do agree with that. Coming over here to the headlights, this is another really cool element that's very distinct from all of the various SUVs offered out there, and that is these quad beam LED headlights. These are going to be standard on every version of the GV80, and as you can see, it is split into two pieces, both with the turn signal indicators on board. However, there are not going to be any fog lights. Now down here at the wheels, just like any luxury product, you've got several different selections depending on which model you choose. You're going to start out with 19-inch alloys. Here with this advanced model, we have the 20-inch alloys. And if you want to have a really large option, you can choose the Prestige model, and that comes with very nice looking 22-inch alloys. Up above that, you'll see these side-mounted turn signal indicators. Again, a really distinct element, and you see it has that split design just like we see with the headlights and what you will see with the taillights in just a second. And then coming up here to the mirrors, they come fully loaded. You got heating, auto dimming, power folding, and blind spot monitoring.
Now before we talk about the rear design, I do want to say some stuff here at the side. Now you're probably noticing just how good this looks, and that's because this all-new GV80 is on its own rear drive platform. So this is a separate platform from anything else in the Hyundai or Kia lineup, and it just looks absolutely stunning. And it's 195 inches in length, which places it right in line with that of the BMW X5 and Mercedes GLE. But walking around to the rear design itself, wow, this is a showstopper. I mean, this looks so good. I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but this is a really good looking SUV that's unique from anything else. So as far as breaking down the individual design elements, here you're going to notice the taillights. These are the quad LED taillights, and they're going to be standard across all of the GV80 lineup, and they do match very nicely with the headlights in the front. And then dropping down to the bottom, you have this nice shiny black plastic with integrated trapezoidal exhaust outlets inside. Now as far as your safety systems, Genesis has thrown in all of them on this model. So you're going to have forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, auto high beam headlamps, lane keeping assist, an adaptive cruise control system with stop and go, and you're also going to have rear auto braking. So the entire gamut is standard, and that's something worth pointing out because a lot of the German rivals will option on like thousands of dollar packages in order to get those features. But anyway, guys, that's going to sum up the really classy exterior design of this GV80. There's a lot of luxury on the inside, so let's go ahead and check that out. And before we do that, hit that subscribe button down below.
So the all-new GV80 comes with the new Genesis key fob and of course a smart entry system. Now as you can see, there are quite a few buttons on board. You have remote start right here on the fob. You also have the smart parking system to allow you to pull into and out of tight parking spots completely unmanned. And to get inside the vehicle itself, just reach behind the handle and it will unlock. And as you'll see, the mirrors fold out on approach, not when I grab the handle. But guys, check out this cabin. It is absolutely stunning from the second that you look inside. Now, depending on which model of the GV80 that you pick, you have leatherette, leather, or Napa leather seating. However, with this advanced model, we have the real leather seating, the middle option. You still have a lot of different choices for your color options. So you've got this black, which is what we have, the full black. You have beige with black or brown accents. And then you have the really neat ultramarine and dune, which is basically just a blue option. Kind of looks like something you'd get in a Bentley or a Rolls Royce. Now turning over here to your door trim, you're going to see the same fantastic materials reflected up here. You've got leather basically from the bottom to the top. So you have all this area with the really nice double stitching detail. The armrest is all leather, as is above it. And then even along the top part, you have, again, more leather with the stitching. You have genuine open pore wood, some metal speaker grills here, and you'll also find 2-person memory seating. As far as your windows, of course, all 4 are going to be one-touch automatic. And then checking out these seats here, these are the 12-way power adjusting seats with 4-way lumbar support. That's included on the advanced trim. And then, like I was already saying, we do have a real leather on this model. Definitely like the unique perforation design here in the seat, as well as the color contrast piping. And they're extremely comfortable to sit in. Now, we got to briefly set in one of these at the Chicago Auto Show before the pandemic. But I have to say, having one here in person and being in this cabin for an extended period of time has really just impressed me in a big kind of way. You have fantastic materials head to toe. So across even your upper dashboard, this is all going to be covered in a leather material with lots of stitching, really stunning looking. Again, you have more leather down through here. You have this really cool vent design that goes all across the dash. And even as you move down to your lower areas, you'll continue to find leather material, nice padding, more stitching, real open pore wood, and various types of real aluminum. This cabin is definitely just as nice as any of the finest German vehicles that I've been in. Now to start up the GV80, put your foot on the brake and press the standard button. So after it fires up here, you will see the gauge cluster that's included on the majority of the GV80s, and that is this 8-inch multifunction display. So as you can probably tell, we have an analog speedometer over here. Then we have our multifunction display and tachometer in one piece with an 8-inch display. You can, of course, get the 12-inch 3D gauges on the higher end models, but like I said, most of them will come with this one. And then coming back to the steering wheel, this is probably the most controversial element of the cabin of the GV80. That's because we just have the kind of strange looking 2-spoke steering wheel. I will say it's very unique looking, and it's made with really high quality materials. So we have real metal buttons on board, and of course it is nicely leather wrapped, as well as power adjusting and heated. Okay, so let's go ahead and dig into interior storage. So we'll start out underneath our center console here. It does open up in 2 pieces, and looking inside here, we have a lot of space. We can pull that little shelf out, nicely felt lined, it's really deep, plenty of space. And when we get out our big stack of coupons, let's see how they fit. No problem whatsoever. So it's certainly a more generous amount of space than, say, something like an Audi Q7. Now, moving on from that, underneath this piece of wood, we have our 2 cup holders. You can slide back this tray. That's going to reveal another storage area. This right here doubles as a wireless phone charging pad, and then we also have 2 USB ports. Not quite done yet though. We actually have a small center pass-through here, so this is another great place to store something like a cell phone or whatnot. You have a nice rubber lining on there as well. Now that extra storage comes courtesy of this electronic shifter. Now I really like this shifter, not just because of the fact that it's made of real metal and glass and absolutely looks stunning, but actually because of the operation. So a lot of these dial shifters are very difficult to use, but this one here has a click sensation as you shift through the gears, which allows you to not really have to look at the shifter and still know what gear you're in. So you kind of twist over, you'll feel that twist there, and then you twist one more time and you go over a notch, and that's where you're in drive. Very easy to use. You do have paddle shifters up here on the steering wheel, and then when you go into reverse, you have that same sensation as well. Now once we're in reverse, you'll see we have a 360-degree camera system with active trajectory as well as that 360 view. But this does have an extra trick up its sleeve. If I scroll down to this little emblem right here, click into it, bump over, I can now swipe all around the entire vehicle and see it in a drone-like view. This is just like what you get in a lot of the German vehicles, and one of the most advanced 360 cameras you can get. Then for park, you're just going to press the P right on the top. You do have an electronic parking brake as well as a brake hold function. Off to the side here, we have our drive mode controller, again, metal. And then we also have a new infotainment controller, which I'll talk about this when we get to the infotainment system in just a second. Alright, so now that takes us to the audio system. So with this advanced trim, we have the 21 speaker Lexicon Quantum Logic sound system. So let's go ahead and give that a sample. Very impressed by the sound quality of this system. I would say this sounds in line with the German sound systems that they make you pay about $5,000 extra for, and of course this already costs significantly less. Okay, so let's check out the climate control panel. So as you can see, this is made up of both a touch display and some physical controls, so I definitely like that you have the combination of them. So for adjusting the temperature, you just grab this little dial here, very simple. If you want to adjust your zones or your fan speed, you just tap inside of this touch display. It is very sensitive and it does have haptic feedback inside of it. You will also notice that we have 3-stage seat heating as well as 3-stage ventilation on board. And now let's go ahead and check out this gigantic 14.5-inch display running the new Genesis UX software. Right now we're on basically the home display, so as you can see, it kind of has a nice relaxing picture. You've got your temperature, the song playing, and it blends in with the map. And one thing I really love about this system is the fact that it both has the controller knob down on the dashboard that I already pointed out, as well as touchscreen ability. So you notice I can swipe. So it's definitely nice to have both options on board. Whatever you prefer, you can do. Now I want to go ahead and take a look down here at this control knob. So this turns around this outside metal edge. This allows you to scroll between various things up there. And then inside of this metal or glass bowl here, this is where you can do things like handwrite letters to search in the navigation system. Now I'll come up here and I'll just go ahead and look around a few different features. I won't go through everything in this particular video, but I'll go ahead and open up the map display. As you can see, it takes up the entire 14.5 inches, and the graphics on board here are really, really nice. Scrolling over here, we do have, of course, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities built in, but I will point out they are the wired connection. They are not wireless at this time. And then looking up here, we have an auto-dimming mirror as well as HomeLink universal remotes built in. Up top, of course, you do have LED lighting built in. It does have a cool design inside of it as well, and touch sensitive. And finally, we have a standard dual panel moonroof, which goes all the way back to the rear passengers. Of course, both panels have power sunshades, and the front one does open right up.
Alrighty, so here I am in the GV80's rear seat, and wow, this is a very luxurious place to spend time, just like the rest of this cabin. But as far as the space figures are concerned, you may be more concerned with this. It's going to be rated at 39 inches of rear legroom and 38 inches of rear headroom, which is right in line with that of the BMW X5 and Mercedes GLE. And behind rear seating position, I have, I would say, 6 inches of rear legroom, and my feet can easily slide up underneath of the seat. Now, as far as the feature set, this is a more basic GV80, but we do still have vents here on the top. We would have climate controls on the higher end models, and then dropping down from that, we have 2 charging USB ports as well as a regular household style outlet. Off on the door trim, we have rear window sunshades, and if we fold down the center armrest, we do have cup holders that pop out, and heated rear seats will be offered on the Prestige model. All right, so let's go ahead and check out the cargo department of this all-new GV80. Now, Genesis is going to throw in a standard hands-free power tailgate, so you can just wait around the vehicle and it will smart open, or you can push the button right here on the window wiper. And once it opens up, you're going to find a lot of space back here, so it's going to be 84 cubic feet as a maximum. Now, Genesis has not provided the readings behind the second row seats, but that is a lot of space, and that's larger than most of the rivals. I also want to point out that you can get a third row on the GV80, although it is kind of limited in its availability since it's only on the 3.5 liter turbo Advanced Plus trim level. Now, as far as how Genesis has finished it back here, we do have a really nice finishing on the floor. We have a little storage compartment. And then off to the left side here, we have our buttons to fold the second row seats. So it's just one press, and it does fold right down. Now over here on your passenger seat, you do have, of course, a power adjusting one with what appears to be the same adjustments as the driver. And then in front, we have a really good sized glove box. It's very nicely felt lined, LED illuminated, and as far as how our coupons can fit in, as you can see, they fit in just fine. Definitely no issues there. And up top, we do have a sun visor with a mirror as well as an LED light, and it does also detach and extend.
Okay. Definitely not bad at all. So we're in the 2.5 turbo engine. This is the base engine offered on the GV80. And this comes at a really nice price point. So I think a lot of you guys are going to choose this.
Yeah.
If you're wondering, how's power? Is it adequate? I think you can definitely see that it is adequate. It's got 300 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque. So those are good numbers, and those do line up with, the standard option like the GLE, for instance. So a lot in the segment do offer an engine in this kind of power point, but of course you can always upgrade for more power too.
Yeah, so the upgraded engine is going to be a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 with a whopping 375 horsepower and 391 pound-feet of torque. So that's a lot of power. So if you're really looking for the power, you can look for that engine. But one thing I really want to point out that I was curious before, when we knew we were going to have the base engine in this model, is just how it's going to sound. Is it going to be unrefined? And it's really not at all. That was a pretty much full throttle acceleration there, and it doesn't feel strained. It, very little engine noise even made it into the cabin at all. So I really don't think you're going to have an issue with this base engine.
Yeah, and I think there's some sound augmentation going on as well. So it kind of sounds deeper as far as its note, because this engine is mechanically related to what we had sampled in the new Sorento as well as the Santa Fe just a few weeks ago, but it does sound, I think, distinctly different in this, and it does make more power in this application as well.
That's good.
Yeah, really, power, it feels quite nice in this. I'm really impressed. Now, what we got on board for the transmission is an 8-speed automatic transmission. As you can tell, it does shift nice and quickly. Really, really, really smooth. You can't feel a thing happen. I put it in a sport mode before we took off, so that is, you know, as aggressive as things get with this. When you're in comfort, it's even less, or you have even less feel as far as with the transmission. And this is a very comfort-oriented crossover. You do have a sport mode, but definitely comfort is the priority. So I'm going to click back into the comfort mode because that's the default with this, and I think that's where almost everybody is going to stay, because it is tremendously comfortable out here on the highway. The ride quality is phenomenal. You just kind of feel like you're floating along. That's not to say it's sloppy or anything, but definitely comfort oriented.
Yeah, this is one of the most comfortable vehicles, and I mean, it goes head to head with the GLE and X5, which are also some of the most comfortable vehicles money can buy. And this does a really, really, really good job. I'm impressed with it. I think it really goes head to head with those German rivals. And I will get a sound level reading going.
We're gonna go 55.
55 miles an hour. And we're looking at 54.8 decibels. And keep in mind, it's really, really windy. So exceptional figures there.
Now, I was kind of alluding to it earlier, but like I said, this is being a luxury-oriented, strongly luxury-oriented model. When you're doing your driving dynamics here, they're actually quite nice, but of course luxury-oriented. So as you go around the corner, steering is very fast responding, nicely weighted. You do have a decent amount of body roll, of course, though. So as far as like on the scope of things, this is more GLE than X5.
Now, as far as your fuel economy, you may be curious as to how efficient this vehicle is going to be. So for the 2.5 liter turbo with all-wheel drive, that's going to be rated at 21, 25, 22. And if you go for the 3.5 liter twin turbo, that's going to be 20 miles a gallon combined, which is in line with the German competition.
So let's go ahead and get to today's slam dunk. There's so many different things we could do, but we decided that it's going to be the details. Genesis got the details right. All these little things that you just notice as you spend more time with the product shows you that they thought about everything when they were designing this, not just the surface items, but little things, you know, like this texture that repeats into different places, this kind of curled metal, this shifter, the quality there.
Gently fading in LED lights.
Yes, it's very German-esque in the way they really sweat the details.
Now, there is, of course, some downsides. We decided that the biggest one for us for this GV80 would be the fact that the third row is not really offered on very many of them. So you have to get that really specific 3.5 liter Advanced Plus trim model to have the third row, and I really just think it would benefit from more availability for the third row. But with that said, let's go ahead and discuss the pricing, because that's a really attractive area for the GV80. So with rear drive, the 2.5 liter model is going to start at $48,900. The all-wheel drive is $54,650, and the 3.5 liter with all-wheel drive is $59,150. Now this one, as equipped with the destination charge of $1,025, comes in at $60,640.
So to conclude, I'm not going to bore you guys with reiterating all the things we love about it. It would be way too long of a list. I'm just going to finish off by saying German and Japanese automakers, you guys better watch out.
Well guys, that's going to wrap up this in-depth review of the all-new 2021 Genesis GV80 Advanced. We really appreciate you watching this video, and if you made it this far, don't lie to me, I know you enjoyed watching, so be sure to smash that subscribe button down below. It's just going to give you notifications on all of our most recent content, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.